In this better memoir writing masterclass video, I am offering some guidance for interviewing people for your memoir. While you know much about your story, it is always recommended that you get information from other sources. These sources can be formal research on the net or in a library, for instance, about your town and your region. Or they can be talking with people who were parts of your story in this video, your grandparents, your parents, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor. I speak about interviewing people as part of your research in this video. I'm offering you 8 suggestions. Suggestion number 1. Come to the interview with a list of questions. If you prepare yourself carefully, you are more likely to leave with the information you need and more likely not to forget to ask a crucial question. Because you have listed the information you are looking for. What work conditions were in an airplane plant in the early 1950s, what it was like to be a first-generation student attending an Ivy League university in 1960, or how tenure was achieved in the 1970s, and so forth. You can keep the interview on track if you have your questions. Toward the end, say 15 minutes before the time you need to leave or your interviewee needs to leave, check your list. Usually, most questions will have been answered. Sometimes, however, key ones have not yet been broached, and you ought to focus the remaining time on getting answers to those questions. That's when you will be very grateful for the list I have encouraged you to prepare. Second suggestion, be specific with interviewees about what you are looking for. I want to know about the first years your parents, my grandparents, were in this country. First, can you tell me the name of the town in Norway they came from? And always be thinking of memory jogs. For instance, a map of Norway could be very useful for you to have on hand. The person might say, I don't really remember, but it was not far from Oslo. Oh yes, there it is on the map. I remember now. Often the interview is necessary to fill a specific gap in a story that you already have a lot of information about, but there's just a little bit that you're missing. While having an interviewee repeat information that you already know is often, a waste of everyone's time, I'd still let some wandering occur, because as you get presented information that you already have, there can be snippets that you didn't have that kind of sneak into the interviewee's sharing. In doing so, I am hoping to learn some new details to flesh out my story. If time is at a minimum, however, be decisive in asking the questions to fill the gaps in your information. Suggestion number 3. Take notes during the interview. Consider a recording to preserve the information for later retrieval. However, I find taking handwritten notes is more creative for me. It forces me to analyze what I am hearing, and it leads to further questions that I had not thought of asking beforehand. At the beginning of the interview, tell the interviewee or interviewees you need to jot down their answers, but they should not try to interpret the importance you are attributing to various bits of information by the length of time you spend writing them. 4. Be wary of asking information that can be answered by a yes or a no. These questions are called closed-ended questions, and they do not deepen or extend the conversation. Here's an example. You say, "Did you enjoy working in the mayor's office?" The interviewee answers, "No." Well, instead of the above question, which was very closed-ended and led you to no new information, it would be reasonable for you to ask what we call an open-ended questions. Tell me something you liked about working in the mayor's office, and then perhaps something you didn't like about it. The second example is an open-ended statement. Tell me about. Well, this cannot be answered by a yes or a no, An open-ended statement forces the interviewee to provide additional information. Oftentimes, this is very useful information. Suggestion number 5. Do not provide information or conclusions. If you were to say to the interviewee, "Those were meaningful years for you," you might be putting words into the interviewee's mouth. Her answers may then reflect not what she is thinking, but her wish not to contradict you. Instead, you ought to ask, "Can you tell me what conclusions you have drawn from this experience?" This allows you to know how she interprets her own experience. Haven't we all been surprised to find that another person viewed as positive what seemed to us clearly negative, and vice versa? Suggestion number 6. Do not rush your interview. Tolerate silences and allow time for thinking. During these silences, it is likely that your interviewee could be arriving at new definitions of his experience, or perhaps he is simply sorting his memories right on the spot. All of this takes time, of course. People who are slow to speak could be shy or simply unused to sharing ideas and memories. Here are 3 additional techniques to help you keep the interview flowing. These techniques can provide a treasure trove of new information that gives insight into character and action in your family history. Suggestion A. Repeat the interviewee's last words. This can be reaffirming of your deep interest and help her to feel comfortable. This is not a summary statement or an observation on your part. It is entirely different. For instance, Aunt Jeanette says, "Oh, those were difficult times." You nodding your head in support, difficult times. This is the antithesis of saying, "Those must have been difficult times because wages were so low." When the interviewer provides the "because" phrase, she is planting information and could really end up quoting herself. Another suggestion, suggestion B. Ask a question based on the interviewee's last words. Aunt Jeanette says, "Those were difficult times." You answer, "How were they difficult?" Or you might say, "Why do you think they were difficult for you?" Remain silent after the interviewee has spoken. Aunt Jeanette is likely to answer, "Those were difficult times." Yes. Silence, even an awkwardly long one, is in order here. Aunt Jeanette, who is wondering why you are not speaking, feels compelled to fill in the silence. "Well, those were difficult times because Uncle Hank was a union leader and so he lost his job. It was around that same time that I had a miscarriage. I couldn't stand all day at the cash register. I was still too weak to go back to work. I found this silent treatment very effective in eliciting information beyond what an interviewee had originally thought to offer." To achieve this effect, however, you must not speak to break a silence as you would in a social situation where the silence might be understood as awkward. Risk some awkwardness for some really good revelation for your memoir. Just be patient. Do not distract the interviewee with fidgeting or with prompts. Silence will allow her time to synthesize, analyze, and share. Get back to my suggestions. This is suggestion number 7. End an interview with the question, "Do you have anything you want to add to what I have asked?" I always say this, and often the interviewee will share unexpected and potentially valuable information. The new material is often prefaced by a statement like, "Oh, this may not be important, but..." What you get then is often quite interesting and useful and important. Interviewing suggestion number 8. Plan enough time to be with your subject. Elders may move at a slower pace. Be aware, that the fast tempo you take for granted may be exhausting and unpleasant for them. Your elderly interviewee may not have considered some of these memories for some time. It may be disturbing also to relive the past. Allow for a cool-down period, small talk as you put your materials away. That will ease your interviewee back into the present and give her a chance to reestablish her equilibrium if the interview brought up unhappy memories. Ask, "Are you comfortable with my leaving now? Is there anything I can get for you before I go?" A phone call later to check in and thank your elder is both kind and comforting, especially if the interview has brought up some difficult material. The text for this video was taken from my book, Turning Memories into Memoirs, a handbook for writing life stories. For your own copy of this classic, click the link to our website provided in the description below. If you would like to explore receiving help with your memoir on any aspect of memoir writing or publishing, know that we offer a 30-minute complimentary get-to-know-you coaching consultation. The link to a free consultation is in the description below. Before you go, please hit the subscribe button at the bottom left of this video and click on the bell next to it. Subscribing assures this memoir writing content will appear on your YouTube homepage and recommendations bar. Check the description below also for a link to this week's free video e-course. And remember, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. Good luck writing your story. The videos that we post on the Better Memoir Writing Masterclass channel are just one of the many ways we can help people write better memoir. I'd like to take just a few moments to share more of what the Memoir Network can offer you by way of partnering with you to write and publish your memoir. Our free membership program, My Memoir Education, offers you access to e-courses, e-books, videos, and more. We have had thousands of people benefit from the free My Memoir Education to write their memoirs, and we hope you will become a member too. Our blog contains over 500 in-depth posts on different aspects of memoir writing, and it too is free. Come on over and pick and choose what you need. While free content can be very helpful, there comes a time when you need more focus and more mentoring than you can get from free. We offer coaching, editing, whether copy editing, content editing, or developmental editing, ghostwriting, and book production. Our website features many of our clients' book covers and testimonials. Come and check us out. We also have a number of programs you can purchase. The Memorable Story is a 10-module home study program on every aspect of memoir writing. It provides university-level mentoring. The Inspired Memoir Writer is a group coaching program. You meet with fellow writers over a period of 10 sessions. We also offer Jumpstart Memoir Professional Packages, which are designed for people who would like to help others write their memoir. If you're interested in knowing more, please feel free to call us or email us at info@thememoirnetwork.com. Thanks, and keep writing.